Traditional bass manufacturers like Rickenbacker rarely do something unexpected, but when I saw this one here, I just had to get my hands on one of those. So let's check it out together. I'm not the biggest authority when it comes to Rickenbacker basses, so I did some research and called up some friends who are more fluent in this topic. I think this bass looks cool AF, but to my surprise, I just opened a can of disapproval when I asked them about this bass here. Rickenbacker players appear to be very traditional people, which isn't really helpful for our course here. So let's put this kind of embarrassing negativity aside and let's have a fresh, unbiased look at this Goth-themed 5-string. By the way, this was of course an homage to the one time Les Claypool played the Rick. So this is the Rickenbacker 4003 S/5, which is based on the 4001 S. That was back in the old days made famous by players like Paul McCartney of the Beatles and Chris Squire of the prog rock band Yes. It has all the features that make a Rickenbacker sound like a Rickenbacker, but they left all the fancy stuff out. There are no shark fin inlays, there's no checker binding, instead they rounded the edges actually. The whole horseshoe pickup situation with the huge covers is missing and, which is probably the main problem for Rickenbacker traditionalists, they installed a normal bridge on this bass. How dare you, Rickenbacker? Are you out of your mind doing what everyone else is doing? This is crazy. When we break down the Rickenbacker concept, the essential feature that makes it sound so characteristic is the construction. It's a neck-through bass with a maple body and a maple neck. So except for the Caribbean rosebud fingerboard on this particular model here, everything else is maple. This combination is a bit out of fashion today, unfortunately. Modern builders rarely make these kind of bold decisions when they design their instruments. Maple delivers a lot of punch and mids and a beautiful rich low end. Triangle-shaped pickups are single coils. I was told these covers are not a cosmetic gimmick. The coils underneath are actually shaped that way to give the lower strings a stronger magnetic field. For single coils, these pickups are really hot. I think they sound great. The neck pickup delivers a fat, saturated and powerful sound that isn't only great for rock players. The bridge pickup sounds similar, but due to its position closer to the bridge, it picks up a lot more high mids and highs. For my personal taste, this is one of the most enjoyable bridge pickup sounds out there. When you pull the tone control, it adds a capacitor, which thins out the pickup massively and seems to add some sharp highs. This can be very useful when you're using both pickups and want to play some slap stuff or anything of this kind, when you need more dynamics and clarity. To control the sounds, we have a 3-way toggle switch and individual volume and passive tone controls for each pickup, making this bass actually quite flexible. The solid bridge is adjustable in all 3 dimensions. Sure, it doesn't look traditional, but being able to make very specific adjustments is, at least for me, more important than keeping the old school Rickenbacker look. And if you really can't get around this, first of all, get a live, and second, just get a 4th string. Rickenbacker already started to make 5-string basses in the early days, but because of their insanely narrow string spacing, they were never really popular. For this model here, they found a compromise. For your right hand, the factory set 16.5mm spacing is still not the widest, but your left hand can grab into a custom 10mm string spacing at the nut. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of narrow spacings, but after playing this for a while, I have to say I actually don't mind. And since this is a 3D bridge, you can widen the spacing if necessary. Overall, I'm very intrigued by this bass, and during this test I made a decision that my next bass somewhere in the next future will definitely be a Rickenbacker. There's just no way around. These basses don't just look incredibly cool, especially when it comes to the sound and the specific characteristic, all this maple. This is just pushing a lot of buttons for me. Especially the neck pickup sound. These saturated basses and these mids are just fantastic. I love it. And yeah, we here as this test studio bass thing, we get of course a lot of basses, and I'm pleased with their quality in most cases. But this here ranks amongst the best basses I ever got for such a review, and I think this is just all because of this very unique character. There are no fancy electronics or anything of that sort that make this bass different. It's just this combination of maple, more maple, a little bit of rosewood, and of course these pickups that make this bass so unique.